Hello, I'm Maggie. Thanks for joining me in another episode of Why Not Go. As always, I appreciate everyone subscribing and commenting. I love the comments and liking the video. Well, this is another London video that I did, and this video is all about David Bowie and mainly about the Ziggy Stardust album. First we go to Trident Studios, the outside of Trident Studios. It's not there anymore. It closed down in 1981, and this is where the album Ziggy Stardust was recorded, along with Hunky Dory, Space Oddity, also some of The Man Who Sold the World, Lou Reed's Transformer, such a legendary space. And then we go to Heddon Street, 23 Heddon Street, where the album Ziggy Stardust was photographed. This is the iconic album, of course. The front cover, that's on Heddon Street, and the back cover with the those were done by the photographer Brian Ward. He also did the inner sleeve, which I always loved the inner sleeve, those photos. I remember just staring at it when I was a teenager when I bought this. I think I bought it in early 73 or late 72. Apparently Brian Ward says that the inner sleeve was very influenced by Clockwork Orange, and I could see that with the way that they're staring into the camera. And then Brian Ward also did the Hunky Dory album. This is obviously colorized as well as maybe not the back, but the front, similar to the Ziggy Stardust album, which was colorized by, it was designed by Terry Pastor, who did the colorizing, which I think is just beautiful. I love this album. I remember when it came out, I read about it in I think the LA Times and by other rock journalists, and I couldn't believe how great that album was. So in this video we go to Heddon Street. I also include a lot of outtakes from the Brian Ward session. He took 54 photos outside on that rainy night. It was January 13th, 1972. On that rainy night in London, he photographed Bowie on Heddon Street, and I show some outtake photos as well, which I think you'll find interesting. And what I point out in the video as well, the booth I've determined is in the same place as on the album, but apparently it's not the same photo booth, but it's an old one. It has lots of charm to it. So 1972 was a very busy year for Bowie. He started the Ziggy Stardust album came out in June 16th, 1972. As I said, he did the photo session for the album on Heddon Street in January of 72, and then also in January of 72, January 29th, 1972, he started the Ziggy Stardust tour. I never realized it started that early. It started in Aylesbury at the Borough Assembly Hall, and one of the viewers of this channel has told me that apparently they commemorated, I think, with a sculpture of Bowie. So I think that's great. So the first Ziggy Stardust date was, as I said, January 29th, 1972. And his early shows, I've read, were very small, attended by only maybe 60 or, less than 100 people. But obviously, his audience grew, especially when the album came out in June. The audiences got bigger and bigger. He played a lot in 1972 and obviously in 73. He played the Ziggy Stardust tour. He played 191 dates. As I said, starting January 29th, 1972, and then the last show obviously was July 3rd, 1973, and it's immortalized by that Pennebaker movie that films the concert. I love that movie, and obviously at the end Bowie says it's not only the last show on the tour, but it's the last show we'll ever do. I always remember that because when my mother heard that, I think it was in the paper, she was happy. She thought, oh good, you're not going to be obsessed about Bowie anymore. He's retired. And I remember thinking, oh God, I hope not. I didn't think he would retire. And then of course he didn't, and I went to see the Diamond Dogs tour the following year. In August of '72, he played 3 nights at the Rainbow Theatre in London. So by August, he was really his audiences were getting bigger and bigger. In December, he also played the Rainbow. And then in 1973, he played Radio City Music Hall in New York. He played a lot. He played a lot in America in '72 and '73. He also went to Japan. So for, a year and a half, starting just after the photo session for the album, Bowie was touring for a year and a half on Ziggy Stardust. And I was lucky enough to, and I mentioned that in the video, I get a little, I'm sorry, I get a little emotional. I was lucky enough to see the Ziggy Stardust tour. I saw the concert. It was March 12th, 1973, and he played the Hollywood Palladium. And I was 15 years old at the time. And in LA, especially at that time, if you didn't have a car, it was very difficult to get from the suburbs to into the city, into Hollywood. But luckily, my older sister, she was 29 at the time. As I said, I was 15. I told her I wanted to go, and she had heard about Bowie. She didn't like rock music, so I don't think she didn't know what it was going to be. I think she thought he was going to be like a Tom Jones singer, kind of. She didn't know what she was in for, but she was kind enough to buy 3 tickets, one for me and a friend of mine, and for herself. And she picked me up in Downey, and we went. And I'll never forget that night. I don't know if any of you have had, if you've had experiences where a certain rock concert just turns your world from black and white to color. But that tour, that concert really did it for me. I knew the album was great, but when Bowie came out and he did, I believe the first song was "Hang On to Yourself," I just couldn't believe what an amazing show it was. It was just, as I say in the video, I can't even describe it. I think it definitely changed my life, and I know it changed a lot of people's lives. The Ziggy Stardust album and tour. I remember being outside the Hollywood Palladium, waiting in line, and I'd been to a couple concerts before, but nothing like this. I remember the crowd, girls had feather boas on and short hot pants and platform shoes, and I'd maybe been to a Creedence Clearwater concert, but nothing like this. And it was just, I decided then and there I was going to move to Hollywood as soon as I could, because there was no one like the Hollywood Palladium crowd at Ziggy Stardust. There was no one like that in Downey. And I'll never forget turning around. My sister said something like, "Look at the guy behind us," and I turned around and there was a guy a few feet away behind us, and he had kind of longish hair like a lot of guys did, but he was wearing full makeup, lots of makeup on. I remember he had a baby like pacifier in his mouth, and I just thought, oh, this is great. I just love this crowd. It's just like the Bowie song Changes. It's like turn and face the strange, and I loved it. So enough about that, but what can you say about Ziggy Stardust? So it was a real thrill to visit Heddon Street, to imagine what it was like on that rainy night when he did when he had his photo taken up and down the street. And I'll show lots of photos in the video that are not obviously on the album cover. and it's just great. And I'd recommend anybody who lives in London or goes to London to visit the location of where this amazing photo was taken. The photo and the album just changed everything, I think, in music in 1972, and much like the Sex Pistols, I think Bowie launched and inspired a lot of careers, many careers in music. So hope you enjoy the video. Thanks as always for watching. All right, continuing our tour in Soho. I'm at St. Anne's Court. It's a nice one of these nice little walking streets in Soho, which I love. I remember coming here in the 70s and 80s, and there used to be a phone box right around here. I think it was right here, actually. So we are at Trident Studios. I'll do a close-up in a little bit. But Trident Studios was operating from 1968 to 1981, and is famous, obviously, because of David Bowie. He recorded Ziggy Stardust here, and Space Oddity, and Hunky Dory. Isn't that amazing? And it's also famous because the Beatles recorded Hey Jude here, and also very famous to me because Lou Reed, Bowie produced the album, obviously. Lou Reed did Transformer here with Bowie producing and Mick Ronson in the studio. So this is where Walk on the Wild Side was recorded. I love Transformer. Right here in Soho. Beautiful. I remember I would come here, walk down here a lot in the late 70s when it was still a studio. So it was operational from the late 60s to 1981. St. Anne's Court. Where magic happened. Trident Studios. Love it. All right, thanks for joining me in another episode of Why Not Go? Well, we're still in central London, and I'm so excited to come to this spot. I don't know why I never did when I lived here. I don't know, it's just funny. Sometimes you just don't think of going to iconic places, but this is a very iconic spot. We're at 23 Heddon Street, and I actually I didn't bring the album, but I brought a color Xerox of the album cover, and of course it's Bowie there on the cover, and he's right in front of K West Furriers, because this is I don't know if it still is, but this used to be an area of London that did clothing, furriers and suits and things like that. So he's standing right between 21 and 23 Heddon Street, and we're going to go there in a second. Now if you look here, you can see these narrow windows there at the end of the street. Yeah, now Joe, just zoom in on those windows. That building is still there. And you can see the narrow windows there in the middle. So,
right here, there's that little one.
Right there. Those were also seen on the cover. I just think it's, I'm so thrilled to be here. This photo was shot January 13th, 1972, just before the album came out. And it's funny because I read online that the photo box was gone. Phone box. I'm so excited. The phone box is gone, but I'll let Joe just pan the camera over there. I think that's the phone box. I mean, it could be because it's such an iconic phone box. Because as everybody knows, and I have my color Xerox here. as everybody knows, that's the back cover of the album. That's a Xerox of the back cover. That's him standing there, obviously. And I don't know for sure, but I think it's very possible because they're marking the spot there with the Ziggy Stardust lightning bolt there. I think that's the famous phone box. So, what a street! What a street! Yeah, we're gonna get closer to the spot in just a second, but it's just so iconic. I just can't believe that I'm here. As I said, this photo, the photos for the front and back cover were shot. It looks like in the evening, January 13th, 1972, and you know, what can you say about Bowie? I mean, I don't want to get emotional, but you know, he's one of the best artists, the greatest artists of all time. And I was lucky enough to have seen Bowie, I think in 1973 on the Ziggy Stardust tour. And I remember I was in junior high, I was 15, and I asked my sister if she would take me and my friend, and she was living in Hollywood. It was at the Hollywood Palladium, and she didn't know what to expect. I think she thought he was going to be like a Tom Jones singer and Anthony Newley. I remember she didn't like the concert at all. She thought it was too loud. But she was kind enough to take me to the show, and I just couldn't believe it. I still think it's up there with seeing the Sex Pistols in Tulsa. Seeing Bowie, Ziggy Stardust at the Hollywood Palladium in 1973, I'm so lucky. I feel so grateful that I went, and I'll never forget. The next day, I went back to the friend I went with wasn't in my junior high. She was older, a year or two older, and I remember I went back to school. I went to school the next day, and one of my best friends at school said, "Oh, how was that concert you went to last night?" And I still remember to this day what I said. I said, "I can't describe it." I said, "It was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my whole life, and I just can't describe it." And I don't know what my friend said. I think she just said, "Wow, okay." I mean, what can you say about Bowie and the Ziggy Stardust album? I mean, one of the best albums ever. One of the best albums ever. So we're gonna, Joe's gonna keep the camera rolling, and we're gonna walk up to the spot where he actually posed for the shot. It's still quiet here, and there's a restaurant right here, an outdoor restaurant that looks beautiful. And I'm really happy that they mark it with a plaque. So here it is. This marks the location of the cover photograph of the iconic David Bowie album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That is just beautiful. So in the photo, in the album cover, he's standing right here, right there. And the K West Furrier, you can see there, the K West Furrier, where you see the sign, the yellow sign, would have been a 21, and this is 23. So he's kind of standing between the two buildings, or between the two places. And I'll have Joe just stand there. Right there. That's where David was. That is so great. I can't believe I'm here. And in the album shot, I'm just going to swing the camera around. The album shot, stay there, Joe. Yeah, he actually had his left leg up a little bit, like on some boxes. It looks like it was a box or a railing. Yeah, there you go. There you go. He had his leg up like that. And then, as you can see, and I'll put the album cover here, you can see those windows in the back there. That building is still there. And I love the way that Key West sign just kind of glows on the cover. I love it. This was just so historic. Okay, that's me there doing my best to try to recreate the famous pose there of David Bowie on the album cover, Ziggy Stardust. I'm so glad the building in the back is still there. So many things get knocked down, but I'm so glad that building is still there, and you can see the windows are the same. So the next shot is David Bowie at the same location much later on the right. Apparently this photo was taken in 1981. The Key West sign was still there, and it looks like this photo was actually colorized a little bit. It's not the greatest quality, but I love the fact he came back and to look at the same spot. It looks much older than it does now. There's no restaurant there in the background, and I love the story behind this album cover. The photographer Brian Ward, who also did the Hunky Dory album cover, the reason why they were on Heddon Street in the first place was because Brian Ward had his studio at 29 Heddon Street. It was upstairs on the first floor, and apparently after they did the inner sleeve of the album, the 4 photos, the black and white photos of the band, then they went out into a damp, rainy night and did the famous photos for the cover. According to Brian Ward, Bowie had phoned him requesting a shooting location resembling a Brooklyn alley scene where he could appear like an alien being. And then Brian Ward goes on to say he was playing on this Man from Mars thing. He wanted to come over like a real stranger, like a science fiction movie. I love that. Bowie is was so creative. And so they did the 4 photos on the inside of the sleeve, and then after wrapping that up, Ward suggested they go out into the fading light, even though it was cold and it was raining a little bit, and he suggested that they do some photos outside. And so apparently the other 3 spiders didn't come out. I don't know if that was they were supposed to come out or not, or just Bowie was supposed to go out and do the outside shots. I imagine Bowie wanted to be alone on the cover. So he braved the weather and they went out. It sounds like it was very kind of impromptu. And on the way out, Bowie grabbed his Les Paul guitar, and the rest is history. Again, this was January 13th, 1972, before the Ziggy Stardust album came out. So I love the fact that Bowie came back and wanted to revisit the site of the iconic album cover. So this photo was taken much later. This is in 2012, and this is when they put the plaque up, and I'm so glad that they did. I don't know how those things are decided. I guess it's the local council. So on the left we have Trevor Bolder, who obviously was the bass player in the Spiders, Woody Woodmansey, the drummer, and that's Martin Kemp there on the right, obviously from Spandau Ballet. So they were all there at the dedication, and I think that's neat. I'm so glad that Trevor Bolder and Woody Woodmansey were there and to commemorate the legendary location of that album. And so now I know that when Bowie was outside doing those outside shots, the other 3 spiders, including Mick Ronson, were probably still inside at the Brian Ward studio. I love when I learn history of how things came about. It usually seems like it was very spontaneous, and I love that. So the next photos that I'm going to show are some outtakes. So Brian Ward, he took a total of 54 shots of the outside there on Heddon Street. And Heddon Street is kind of like a T. There's the part there that used to have autos on it. That would be sort of the vertical part of the T. And then there's at the end of the street, I don't know if it's Heddon Place, that was always a walkway street. It's very narrow. And that's where the iconic phone booth is on the back cover. So I love this photo. This is an outtake. All these photos on the right are outtakes. I love that photo of Bowie. It looks like he's raising the guitar there in the air. I think that's neat. I think all the photos were black and white. This is another photo here. He's either standing in front of 23 or 21. He's probably standing in front of 21 Heddon Street, right there in the door. I love that. And then here's another shot that's very similar to the album cover, a little different. He's more on the sidewalk there, and he doesn't have his foot on his foot up. I always wondered what his foot was leaning on there. I'm assuming it's one of the boxes that's out there in the street. So this photo is very, very similar to the album cover. I love the old street lights on Heddon Street. They still have similar street lights, but to be honest, they don't look original. I think they're street lights that look similar. I love this photo. He's looking right into the camera, of course. It's a great shot. So they were just out there, kind of, Brian Ward was clicking away. And this photo is not on Heddon Street, obviously. This is in concert, and I just wanted to show this is the outfit that he's wearing on the album cover. So the album cover was obviously colorized. I'm sure Bowie's hair was probably more red than blonde at that time. And then the outfit that he's wearing on the cover was not turquoise. That was colored in. And so this is the outfit he's there in concert. I'm guessing this is 1972, Ziggy Stardust, and he's wearing the same outfit. I think it was a two-piece, but it could be a one-piece. And this is the outfit that he's wearing on the Ziggy Stardust cover. So it wasn't turquoise. That was all colored in. So these are more outtakes here. This is a colorized outtake. And it looks like this is not on the part of Heddon Street where we just were. This is on the narrow part. Like I said, it's kind of like a T. I don't know if this is Heddon Place, but in the background there, that would be going to Regent Street. So this is either colorized or obviously in color. I love this photo. And then this is another shot in the same location. Just around the corner from where the shot there at the K West Furriers was taken. And then this is another shot. And this I wanted to point out because this is not the location of the phone booth that was on the back cover. But you can see here there is a phone booth there. But I'll explain in a bit that the original phone booth was actually at the end of this little alley. So just kind of where Bowie was facing towards that way, not the way the camera is facing, is where the iconic phone box was located. So I guess there was two phone boxes on this little street, this little narrow street. I love this part of London so much. But that's a good photo too. It looks like of the 54 photos that he took, he had quite a few to choose from. So this is a really good comparison. So this is a photo that I took, and where they marked the spot there with the Ziggy Stardust lightning. And this is a photo from the iconic photo session back in 1972. You can see Bowie there in the phone booth. I love it. It looks like he's got his guitar with him there in the phone booth. And if you look above, you can see those kind of electric cables or wires are in the same place, and then I'll point that out with arrows, and then you can see the door there, and also on the right where it looks like it's another fur place, Norman couture furs, you can see that building is still the same. The top of the ridge there is still the same. So the phone booth, I'm so glad that they put the phone booth in its original location. And what I read happened was that the original phone booth was taken out, and God knows where it is. That could be in a museum now, I'm sure. And or it should be in a museum, but I'm sure it was tossed out. And so apparently the London Council realized that their mistake, I guess they had put a modern phone box in, that they ended up replacing the modern phone box with an older style one, of that era, because it is a tourist attraction. But it's not the original phone box. That was taken out many years ago. But you can see there everything lines up where those sort of electrical cables are running there, the door, the roof line of the building on the right. So now I'm sure that is the location of the original Ziggy Stardust phone box. I wasn't sure when we were there. You just never know when you're on the spot if this is original. And I love this photo. So this is Bowie standing outside the phone booth. And you can see, again, the door is the same. The building on the right is the same. And you see those kind of cables, or whatever you call them, tubing that probably has electrical cables in it. That's the same on the right to the right of the phone box. So I love it. This is a good photo too. This would have been a good photo on the back of the album. He looks like an alien there. I love it. And then this is one colored in. So I don't know if they thought about using this. And this looks like it was a prototype for the back of the album. But obviously they chose the one where he's actually in the phone booth, which is a great photo. And then this is the obviously the iconic back of the album there on the left. And this is an outtake. So he took several photos of Bowie inside the phone booth. And I love this photo. I love both of them, but you can see it's slightly different. Bowie's hand, on the one on the right, the outtake, his hand is slightly different. It's maybe a little further up, a little bit further away from his face. But they're almost exactly the same. They were probably just a couple seconds apart. But they both look great to me. But they chose, I'm sure it was Main Man. His management chose the one on the left, which is also a great pose. So these are the outtakes from the famous photographer Brian Ward, who did Ziggy Stardust front and back cover, and also Hunky Dory, the front and back cover. I think I just love the way the photos were done, and I also love the way they were colorized. I think it does give a kind of an otherworldly look to it. And so that's the outtake on the right, and the photo that they used there on the left. So I'll go back to our on location video where we go and actually visit the phone box, the original location, but not the original phone box. And we have fun looking at it and comparing it with the photos that we have. All right, now we're going to go over here, just so you can see how close it is. We're going to go over here to, I don't know if it's Heddon Place. That was Heddon Street that we were on. I love these little narrow streets. That goes right out to Regent Street. And then you turn this way and look at that. Let's take a look at this, Joe. Now, Joe pointed out that the phone box on the album, the back of the album, has
has three panes that are equally spaced.
Oh, yes.
Which it could be on these two, the left and right side, which it might be. No, I don't see it. So if
okay.
we go into the camera.
So now we're looking at the That's the back of the album cover, obviously. And
Unless they replace.
hold it just a little closer. Yeah,
Like
hold
that.
it about right here. Yeah. Yeah, closer to me. A little bit more that way. There you go. So yeah, it's a different pane on the glass.
These look equidistant.
Yeah, the glass there is like equal squares, and here it's obviously not equal squares. So
With
maybe it's not the foam box, but somebody here puts another lightning bolt.
No, they could have taken the doors off as well.
It could have been, maybe they took the doors off.
Stolen them, spray painted them or something. You never know.
So let me look at that again, Joe. Okay. I'm gonna be like a total,
This part almost looks like it could be. Well, I mean, it's the design, so.
I'm gonna be a total geek here, and I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go in there and do the pose, which oh, it's locked.
They don't want people posing.
Oh, they don't want people posing.
Poses.
Okay.
No poses.
So maybe it is the phone box, though.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. I got that.
Yeah. So
Got the tube you lined up.
what is he doing there? I always forget. He's he kind of goes like this, and then he's got like this. Is he kind of like that?
Yeah.
He's kind of like that. I know he's being very sexy in the photo. Yeah. You got it on me?
You're both next to each other.
Oh, really? How's my pose?
Lined up. It's perfect.
Yeah. That's so much fun to see. I love it. So now, just to give you an idea of this, where this is again, I'm just walking down this way. That's Regent Street there in the distance where the people are. And I'm just going to come back. Joe's taking pictures of the spot. I'm just going to take one more shot of the spot. And I'll try to line it up on the album cover. It would have been right about there, and he was standing in the part with the blue paint and the plaque. I love it. This is such a thrill to see. So grateful that I came back here. This little side street of Heddon Street. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that location shot of the album Ziggy Stardust. The cover, front and back cover of Ziggy Stardust. So this is a thrill. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks as always for watching. And until the next time, I'll be seeing ya. One more look. At that iconic album cover. That album, it changed my life, and I'm sure many, many others. Just great.